Oh, okay. I have something on my screen here. That's okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, tonight we will explore some situations about families who care for children and youth with extra needs. So my name is Friedegard. Thank you so much, Rainer, for introducing me with all the details. I don't have to do that anymore. You can call me Frieda. I think that's easier, maybe. It's a long name. And I just wanted to say, don't save your questions until the end. You may ask if it's important or something is a misunderstanding. Just raise your hand and we will deal with it as we go. For any discussions, we have time afterwards, I understand. Okay. So before I start, I'm very interested to know what fanned your interest tonight to be here. Karen.
Well, I'm here because I'm a TD director, but my first career was in occupational therapy, and I also have a grandson with autistic spectrum disorder. So
Okay.
I'm really interested from a personal perspective as well as a professional one.
Thank you. You?
Okay, my brother-in-law, he has a multiple sclerosis, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to be tonight with you. And plus, I'm director for family ministry here in Greece.
Thank you. Sophia was raising her hand, I think.
Yeah, this is a passion for me. I have a son, he's now 27. And since he was born, been involved in this ministry. With my husband and some other carers, we set up a charity within our church to support families with special needs and also to provide training and awareness. And I'm really keen and excited to hear your perspective on, specifically carers, because that's the area that we kind of specialize in. So thank you for that.
Very nice. Thank you. So I heard a little bit from a few of you what your interest is, maybe for the others too. What is the core issue? What is the core question for you when we deal with families with children and youth affected by disability? Do we have a problem here?
So could you rephrase the question, please?
Yeah. What is the core issue when we talk about families with children and youth affected by disabilities? Do we have a problem here? Why are we talking about families and disability? I assume if it would be a natural or self-evident situation and everything was all right, we wouldn't be here discussing it. Right, so something is difficult about it. Have you ever met, despite your experiences you shared now, have you ever met families with children with special needs, with extra needs? Yes, some are nodding. What did you think or feel after these contacts? What went through your minds?
I can only share as a pastor when I was doing my ministry that meeting so many families who had children with disabilities, sometimes they did not show up in the church because they had special experiences with that. So people did not, they feel how people look at them. And if the kids do some noise or whatever, and then it's strange, that scared them because the reaction of the people was so strange to many, and they have been wearing this burden always. And so this, I can remember that we have a lot of families with children with disabilities, more than I expected when I started my ministry.
Yeah, it's not a rare phenomenon, but Margaret was raising her hand too, I saw.
I'm just amazed that the parents stay sane.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Rebecca Peterson on the board here also has a son with autism, and she's my daughter. So we're both here.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Well, maybe as you have guessed already, behind a certain research focus of scientists, there often is a personal story or motivation attached, which makes people to look closer at things. And to start, I like to share with you my story. When I had received my social work degree, I worked in a clinical setting in a hospital in the city of Bremen for a while. And I was using public transportation to get to work. And as the city was looking for foster parents very badly, they had put advertisements even in trams and in buses. And one day I saw this advertisement and immediately was reminded of a text in the Bible, and I'd like to read it to you. It's in Matthew 18, and it reads, "At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, 'Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of kingdom of heaven?'" Sorry. He called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me." And in German here, it's very strong because it says, when somebody takes in such a child. So the next verse is, "If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea." And this is always a text that really, really got to me. And when I read this advertisement, of course, especially verse 5, spoke to me, and I felt called to make a difference in a child's life. And I called the given number on this advertisement, and I said I would be interested in further information. And of course, the Child and Youth Welfare Office called back within a day. So I had roughly a year of seminars and preparation until a social worker called and asked me if I wanted to make a visit to the children's. Sorry? Is there a question?
No, I think somebody forgot maybe to turn off or to
Okay.
unmute.
Okay. So I was asked if I wanted to make a visit to the children's home for infants and toddlers. And she said, "Well, we have a child here who needs help." And well, no, it's not one, it's two children, they're siblings. Would you go and have a look at them and meet them? They were 21 months and 6 months old, two little ones who needed a temporary home, which was soon to be a permanent one, since there was no option of returning to the biological family anymore. And a year later, their little sister of 7 months joined their siblings. So in roughly 1.5 years, I had 3 little children, and in caring for them, I immediately had the notion that something was wrong. But all the professionals told me I should wait. They had a hard life. They were abused and mistreated, and they need time. But development never really started. So I slowly got into this process of thinking about a different life and a lot of help. And I came into this struggle to find professionals that believed me and that had the right therapies and the right diagnosis. It was quite a journey. And just to make it short, from then on, not only I left traces in their lives, but they keep leaving traces in mine as well, as today. It turned out that they had suffered severely from their abuse, mistreatment, neglect, and their biological mother's abuse of alcohol during the pregnancy. So they had to have a lot of help along the way, and they still do, because of their fetal alcohol spectrum disorder and their cognitive disability. So, and I also did some investigative work to find out where the next two younger siblings had made their homes, and I found another foster family, and I found an adoptive family, and once in a while we have family reunions, and the children and we adults, we love it. So this is how I came into the world of disability. I hadn't thought about that when I thought about giving children a home. Maybe from this perspective, I got into all this research to find people who were in the same situation. Because, as Rainer said, it's a difficult situation because you have to deal with a lot of stigmatization and marginalization, and from people you wouldn't think. The rip goes through the family even. So, but maybe later for that. I will start my slides now. Okay. Okay. Can you see it well? Okay, good. So, what are we talking about when dealing with disability? Why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult for others to accept that people scream or eat differently or talk differently? What is this othering, this otherness that makes people afraid of being in or getting into contact, into relationships? Because not only this is my experience, not only the children are left out, but their carers, caregivers as well. So I'm just giving you a short definition so that we can stand on a fundament. And I have one, it's very old, but I still find it very good. So disabled are all children, young people, and adults who are impaired in their learning, their social behavior, their linguistic communication, or psychomotor skills. And this to such an extent that their participation in the life of society is significantly impeded. So they're, if you would use the word, excluded. So disabilities can originate from impairments of vision, hearing, speech, support, and movement functions, intelligence, emotionality, and external appearance, as well as from certain chronic diseases. Multiple disability are very common. It's not only, it's not one that we're dealing with most of the time. Very striking is the definition in this dual definition. It's deriving from impairments, but then the participation in life, the normal life is impeded. So disability is not already disability through mere functional impairment, but only through impediment of participation in the society. So characteristics of the disabled person and characteristics of his or her society together produce the phenomenon of disability. And this is, I think, where we come in as a church, where we can do a lot to invite people to be integrative and inclusive, and to invite people back into our relationships and our community. So, but maybe because I think it's important for other people to know, because some say disability and they just shy away from everything that has to do with it. If I'm missing a leg, I'm only legless in that sense, in the sense not yet disabled. But if I cannot drive my wheelchair because there are barriers everywhere, we know there's curbs or stairs, then I'm disabled in the sense of prevented from participating in everyday social life. So when we build churches, when we have buildings that are erected, to think about what would this building need to look like, so that we can invite people from all people, would be a first step. This sounds simple, but most of the time this is not thought of when we're building buildings. Yeah. So another fact is that disability is not a constant fact. This, just as a problem is not a stable building. It's changing over time, over the lifetime. It can be better, it can get worse. The needs will be different of the people. So disability always refers to a situation or a relationship, which is a relationship between the person and his or her social and material environment. What is disabling unfolds in the shaping of relationships, in dealing with each other, and in the shaping of living conditions. And this is where we can do something. This is not something that we have to take as granted or given. The same, persons with disabilities are not ill. I'm telling you this because other people need to know this, and we have to talk about it more in public, I think. They are not sick or ill as such, but a wheelchair user's companion can have a cold. So disability and disease or illness are two different things. And I think you know the definition of the World Health Organization, that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, and not merely freedom from disease and infirmity. I often have been asked if my children can be happy, if life is for them a life that is livable. And I say, yes, they are. With their impairments, they're happy and they're living their life to the fullest. We're always thinking that they're to be sad or depressed. They're not. They're allowed to live. So one can ask how people with special needs differ from other people who sometimes have special needs as well. I do, because I wear my glasses, and it's getting more the older I get. I need more time to tend to my extra needs I have. So in fact, people are not very different in many ways. Their wishes for life, their aspirations, their wishes for belonging and equality are the same. However, persons with permanent impairments in whatever form need more help. They need it more often and over a longer period of time, sometimes their whole lives. And now there's the question, who is going to do this? Who is going to care for them? Parents are afraid when they think of the future of their children, because they know naturally my children will outlive me. I will be dead before them, and who will care for them? it's going to be a difficult situation. We have a lot of economic difficulties in Germany, and resources are less and less. So who's going to do this? This is a question to the society, to the state providing help, and to a church too. Now, when I refer to persons as disabled or with extra needs, I mean persons whose state of health needs regular medical monitoring, who need special support or therapy at home, at school, or in the community because of delayed linguistic, physical, mental, or social development. If they need to learn practical life skills separately, or if they need special aids to live everyday life. And when we look at this, we not only have people with disabilities, we have a lot of people who need help, older people, people who live on the streets, people who are ill and fall not under the definition of disability. So there's a wide field, not only disability, what I'm talking about today. So what do they need? Maybe if this is not interesting to you, I'm just brought it so that you can see what my research was about. I did in-depth interviews with foster parents and foster fathers too. And I did a follow-up study after 9 to 18 years to see how they did and how the children did. And so from this, I would derive not only my results for foster parents, it's also for all parents, because I had some foster parents who had biological children with disabilities in their family as well. So it's not only about foster parents, I would enlarge this results. So the issues the parents were talking about in the interviews, and maybe you can add something. This is not extensive, I think, or if it's not broad enough and you have more points, you're very welcome. They were very astonished. Oh, I have to add, 2/3 of these foster parents were like me, surprised by disability. They hadn't thought of anything like that. They would be touching this in life. 2/3 of the foster parents didn't know that they were taking in a child with special or extra needs. So they were just confronted with a world of disability and prejudice, stigmatization, marginalization, difficulties in living the daily life. Everything was harder now. A lot of stress because of that. And they were trying to have resources in handling institutions like administrative or medical bodies, asking for finances, therapies, finding the right doctors and therapies, schools, kindergarten, neighbors, friends and family. There was a whole bunch of things they had to think of now. All that was telling them, you are not belonging anymore. And I think all marginalized groups like older people, homeless people, delinquent persons, ill persons, have experiences with prejudice, stigmatization, marginalization, difficulties in living the daily life. So this not belonging, being left out, not feeling welcome in church anymore because of the extra needs my child has, that's a very, very hurting feeling. They're feeling behind that fact. So this is what we have to know when we deal with, when we get into relationships with families, with children and youth with special needs. This is a very vulnerable group. Though I found that many foster parents, after some time, grew into all these challenges and were very well equipped with resources and things they would say when they were approached in a very unfriendly manner or something like that. So the caregivers, the second study, I asked them how they were now, and it tells you something about the stress they had. So the level of well-being was dependent on the family situation. Those who were still fostering and took in new children, they had a high stress level. They were still in the Hamsterrad, in the rat race. Those who were still caring for their grown-up foster children with high special needs, but they were living in residential care now, not at home anymore. They were very active in the relationship. They did a lot for their children still, because the residential home couldn't tend to all the needs now. This is what my situation is right now too. They have stress, but not this high stress level dealing with it in your home. And then those who were retired and didn't do any care work anymore, they were very content and were doing all the things they always wanted to do. Now, coming to the needs side, I'd like to wrap it up in one word, and that's inclusion. I don't know if this concept rings something with you. Yeah, okay, so I don't have to explain about that. Inclusion, which means unconditionally belonging. No doubt about anything. You are part of our community. We welcome you. But this takes effort, of course. And to make it a little clear, I brought some pictures. This is a little baby. All of us are taken when we see little babies. We love our little ones. Even, and this is the other side, when they're crying and fussing and keep us up all night, we wouldn't think of giving them away until they were better functioning. And then we would take them back. So we go a long way, but it can be pretty exhausting, and we might need help if we, for instance, have a very irritable baby, which is not able to soothe him or herself. But we know these phases are only phases. They go away as the child develops. But with a child with special needs, these phases will be our life. It's like a marathon. These phases will not go away. And the question is, who is going to do all the care that it needs? I have here a picture and like to know from you what you see. What are you looking at? What do you see in this picture?
Could be different types of road.
Different types of something. It looks very orderly, right? So there's a red heap and a black one, and the forms are different and very organized, everything. This is a Swiss art project, and it's calling itself Organizing Art. So the point behind this is, if we organize everything according to its kind, we will miss the whole picture. And this will be the whole picture with all these parts that were so nicely organized. So this is Miro, the Chant du Rossignol. Diversity is important. It is for God who created diversity. And even in our fallen world, we all belong together. because he loves his human family, every individual, be it ill, impaired, or without the privileges we have in society. So these, maybe you know this picture too. If we talk about exclusion, we are not invited to the party. It hurts. We stand outside. When we are invited to stand at the rim, but yeah, come a little closer, but look what we are doing. But you can't be part of the thing we are doing because you're not equipped to do it. That's kind of integration. We take people into the ones who are like the same and do have all the things it needs. And then inclusion would be this unconditional belonging. It's a moment. It's something where all people are welcomed, and there are no stairs or curbs. Everybody can, because we thought about our world should be or look like so that everybody can take part, can come to the party. Now, inclusion is a complex value and attitude-based paradigm, and we can't prescribe attitudes, and we can't prescribe a local church to be inclusive and to think about all that and to open their hearts and invite and welcome people they are not ready to take in. So it's a long way. There is a discrepancy between the objective of inclusion, this unconditional belonging, and the social reality. It's still, I'm looking back at 30 years of having to do with this stuff. And so this unconditional belonging, far away from this scheme normalcy and deviation, this should be our effort so that we will be more open to welcome more people into our community. So if we break it down, the detailed needs, there is a huge need for information, and we can contribute to that. If we know a family has problems or is irritated or needs orientation, we can look for information and provide information. These families need our interest, our understanding, encouragement, compliments, how well they're doing in this difficult situation. They need emotional support, relationships, and authenticity. It doesn't matter if we don't know anything about this type of disability. Parents will be happy to share their experiences or explain what it's all about. If you're irritated about some things parents do with their children, ask them why they're doing it. I had a visitor, and my children were very wiggly, and they had all kinds of Wahrnehmungsstörungen. Wie sagt man das auf Englisch?
Awareness. Let me check it.
Yeah, Wahrnehmungsstörung. So I used to grab them in the evening and really hold them tight. And then we had this game, making pizza. You know this, when you do a pizza on the back of the child. And I had this brushes, and they loved to be brushed with it because they had this difficulty of really feeling through their skin. And my friend said, "Whoa, what you're doing looks like mistreating them. What are you doing?" So we came into a good conversation about that, and she learned a lot about Wahrnehmungsstörungen.
I think we called it sensory processing disorders.
Thank you. Yes. And so she learned a lot, but she really was interested, and she asked. So encourage other people to ask and to be themselves if they don't understand anything. They need invitations. Invitation is a hard thing. You really need people you feel safe with if something strange happens. And some parents even told me that they were invited, but the people said, well, for Jill, you will find a babysitter. And the parents said, if Jill can't come, we won't come too, either. So invitations is very important. Practical help. Ask them what they need. Babysitting while they go to the doctor or to the therapy, providing a meal when time is short, taking the children for a walk, giving the parents a break, calling, chatting, accompanying them to institutions, or researching and providing information. We talked about that. You can think of much, much more. They need our prayers, constant prayers, and addressing the topic of diversity and different needs in public, so that the awareness will be heightened. Self-help groups is very important too, so that the parents know they're not alone. So supporters in that time should know they can support if they can tell the family or understand that many families grieve, but getting past the stage of grief, getting to a new normal and seeking treatment is very important, not missing the opportunities that early childhood offers for learning and neurological development. And our parents need trusted doctors and professionals who give a diagnosis, but some don't want a diagnosis, and that's fine too. That's okay. So if parents still have doubts, encourage them to go and get a second, third, or fourth opinion, and don't stop them. You're getting crazy with all this. And no, encourage them to do everything that is in their might to get counsel and information. So getting as much information and advice possible from professionals and therapists is very important, but as well, assessing and choosing how much and which therapies will best suit the whole family, because doing everything 24 hours a day can be too exhausting. And then we should not leave the responsibility for therapeutic interventions to the professional alone. We're in this too. But we come to it sometimes less is more. And then giving the emphasis to the fact that each child is unique. There is no recipe for all. We cannot go and say, do it this way, do it that way. Each family is very unique and different, and their needs as well. Parents who are supported and encouraged are able to give their children more security and stability, and children realize a calm, encouraging, and happy atmosphere in which they can thrive. So value every step, every sound, from the simplest gesture to the more complex. We need to value the simple things in the child's life and in our lives. And this is what a lot of foster parents said. This experience was so enriching. A whole new world opened up to me. And we cannot take our children with special needs all the time by the hand and pull them into our world. We need to let them, the children, take our hands and go with them in their world too. So this would be a very, very good experience when we deal with other parents, when they learn to see that there is more to the world than the normal world. There is a new normal. Normally, many people won't even experience, but there's a challenge, but a chance in making good friendships, in caring for the families with children with disabilities. So, and less is more. This is the other thing that many parents want to do all and the best for their child so that they would develop the best. But sometimes less is more. Enjoy life. Let therapies go once in a while and do what it's fun for you and the children. This is what I would tell families. And coming to the end, yes, there is a discrepancy between the idea and the implementation of inclusive values, but we as a church can do a lot in this area. Doing care work and living inclusive values is very time-consuming and requires a more of personal and material commitment, and families can't do it by alone, by themselves. They need help. For sure, they need help. There's a big need for support, and families with children with extra needs may have a reciprocal effect on society if they're not hidden or invisible. Then they have acquired specific abilities in dealing with this whole situation, and living their new normal may even change perceptions of normalcy in society if we bring it more to the public. And this can generate and contribute to an active and public climate of inclusion, or better, unconditional belonging. Thanks a lot for your attention up to here, and I'm open for a question now.
Thank you.